my cool buddies, I welcome you all to BRAHMASTRA series, where today we are going to complete the second last chapter of biology, that is ecosystem. So all the people who are getting bored of biology finally can be happy. We are rescuing from biology. Well, I hope no one is getting bored of biology. And also one more very important thing. Thank you for all the love that you have given me in the comment section. It means a lot to me. And also keep thanking all of us who are there, who are putting effort. And also keep thanking your parents, your friends, everyone who is doing really great in their life, who is helping you really well. Okay, so this things motivates us to do more for you guys. And even if you do not motivate, we'll still do, because we have that much amount of love for you. So please do not stop showering your love. And also one more thing, so you know, BRAHMASTRA series has been a very big success. Okay, everyone had been saying that it was really useful for them. Okay, whenever you say thank you, that means it has been useful for you. And yes, so this is a perfect thing that we have. And also we have launched a test series, right, in which we are just giving the test question paper, okay, and then we are giving the solution videos, we are giving you doubt clarification classes and everything. It comes with the cost, okay, it is a paid course, but then we understand, okay, that a lot of you might not be able to afford, okay, so which is why we kept it at $5.99, but still we have some offers going on, which is why you can avail like flat 100% off for that. You can use the coupon code like JAZZ100, okay, and you will get minus 100 of your total, let's say, amount that will be going. So if you are someone who is interested in that, please go use this particular coupon code. You'll get 100% off. Now if you're someone, not 100% off, oh my god, sorry, 100 rupees off. Now if you are someone, okay, who thinks that no, this is fine, so okay, fine, you go with BRAHMASTRA series. It's just for a value addition, okay, there is something extra that could be useful for you. So if you think it will be beneficial, go for it. You can use this as well. Now the people who have just BRAHMASTRA with you, do not be worried. We are still here, we are helping you out, and we are going to finish the chapters. So what's more important apart from that? So ecosystem holds 4 marks, my dear children. According to blueprint 1, 2 and 3, they say that there will be one 1-marker question and there will be one 3-marker question. That means makes it a total of what? 4 marks. So you have to be really careful while answering, okay? And also this is not a 5-marker, let's say, the chapter that will give you a 5-marker question. So please do your preparation accordingly. Do not invest too much of your time. It's a very small chapter, and by the time I'll solve all the questions, you might be understanding each and everything that is there in the chapter. Chalo. This was the series that I was talking about. So it's for $5.99. I told you, if you use the coupon code, that is JAZZ100, basically there will be 100 rupees off. So you can make use of that. So part tests are there, 4 part tests. Part test means there in a question paper there will be different subjects altogether. Okay, so it's out of 25 marks for each subject in part test. Now 8 full-length tests means there will be solely individual test papers for a particular subject. And now this is all aligned with your PU2 syllabus and every marking scheme and everything like that. So it will be really helpful for you. Now we provide you solution videos and as well as the doubt clarification classes. So make use of this. Go and use JAZZ100 as the coupon code. Now today we are going to solve 12 1-marker question and 6 3-marker question. So the 3-marker questions and the 1-marker questions, wherever the explanation is needed, I have written the answers also. So if you are someone who is struggling to frame the answers, it will really help you well. So let's get started. The first question says, which of the following food chain is the major conduit for energy flow in terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem respectively? So they are asking you which type of food chain will be the the commonest way for the energy flow in the terrestrial as in the land, okay, terrestrial ecosystem as well as the aquatic ecosystem as in the water ecosystem. Okay, so basically there are 2 type of food chains that is mentioned over here. One is grazing and the other one is basically what? Detritus. So detritus food chain means the dead and decaying things. The dead and the decaying things are going to be broken down over here with the help of what? Children, decomposers. This is what detritus food chain. Okay. Now grazing food chain is where basically you have a producer and the producer is being eaten by a consumer and the consumer is being eaten by another consumer. That is the thing about grazing food chain. Grazing food chain as in the producers, which be mostly grasses, or basically you're talking about plants. Cool. So that is the thing. Now they are asking you, in terrestrial, which one do you think is the major reason for the flow of energy in terrestrial? And they're asking you, what about aquatic? In aquatic, who provides most amount of energy, the detritus food chain or the grazing food chain? So the answer to this question is aquatic basically relies on grazing food chain for energy, and terrestrial basically relies on detritus food chain for most amount of energy. Why, you might ask? So aquatic as in basically it's in the water. Now in the water there are dead and decaying things, agreed. Okay, there are dead and decaying things, that is agreed. But what happens? These dead and decaying things have to be decomposed, and for decomposition there are certain rules. There are certain criteria that have to be met. That is, there should be enough amount of what? Oxygen. The temperature should be kind of high. There should be moist atmosphere as well. Now when you look at the aquatic ecosystem, the dead and the decaying things basically they are going to settle down. When they are going to settle down in the lower areas, the oxygen deficiency would be there. There will be less amount of oxygen. Now in less amount of oxygen, obviously the bacteria would not be able to work. Now you might be thinking that there are anaerobic bacteria, ma'am. The anaerobic bacteria, suppose it's there. But what about the temperature? The temperature also, if you have seen, if you know, if you go deep, the temperature is also very low, but we need what? High temperature, and we need moist atmosphere. So nothing is there which basically could support detritus food chain. The detritus food chain is there, but it is not the major conduit of energy. It is not the way the energy is passed mostly. Energy is passed, but it is not the major way. Okay, it is happening, but it's not the major way. So I'll say aquatic ecosystem basically relies on grazing food chain. Now you might think, what other plants are there? There are so many plants in water, or what, ma'am? Basically, apart from plants also, you have something else, that is phytoplanktons, which can basically fix the sunlight and basically produce their own food. Now these phytoplanktons are eaten by zooplanktons, and the zooplanktons are eaten by small fishes, things like that. It goes off. It goes on. So basically, my dear children, in aquatic, I'll rely more on the grazing food chain. So don't think that plants are not there. And you might think terrestrial should be having more amount of plants, so it should be the major conduit of energy, right? No. In terrestrial, I'll say it is detritus. Why? Because the organisms which are there, they die off. And now what is happening? There is enough amount of oxygen, there is high temperature and everything on the ground level, which is why the detritus food chain, or basically this type of food chain, becomes more active there. Grazing food chain is also taking place, but more amount of your major conduit of energy becomes what? The detritus food chain. So always remember, for terrestrial it is detritus, and for aquatic it will be what? Grazing. Okay, so this becomes your answer. Will you ever forget it? I hope you do not. Okay, I hope you do not. So this is the thing that is given in your NCERT. In an aquatic ecosystem, GFC, that is grazing food chain, is a major conduit for energy flow. As against this, in terrestrial ecosystem, a much larger fraction of energy flows through the detritus food chain than through the GFC. So it is not saying through GFC it is not getting passed off, but it is more. Detritus food chain gives more way. Okay, works. Chalo, next. Productivity at the second trophic level is always, what do you mean by productivity? Productivity means the rate of formation of biomass, the rate of formation of something. Okay, now the productivity will be more or less basically what in trophic level. What are trophic levels? So basically I say this is a pyramid, and this is trophic level 1, which is occupied by plants. Now plants are being eaten by grasshoppers, suppose. This is trophic level 2. This will be trophic level 3. Which are grasshoppers are being eaten by frog. Now, this plant is going to fix sunlight and is going to make food. So, rate of formation of biomass is going to be really high up over here. It is going to be really high up over here. When you talk about grasshopper, now it has to utilize this food that is there in the plant. Okay. It is relying on this food, but it is not relying on the entire food which is there. It is just having a little bit portion of it, and it is going to make its own thing. So over here, obviously, whatever you're going to take, you're not going to take it completely. So the rate of formation of the new things that is going to happen over here will be comparatively what? Lesser than what you had over here. Initially, you had sun. Okay, you took the energy from the sun, you made the own food. So here the biomass would be, rate of formation of the biomass would be really nice. We're getting energy source directly, there is no compromise and everything is good. But over here, from here to here when things go, obviously the energy flow is also less. Little amount of energy is being gone to the next level. Obviously the plants will always require their own things, so they are going to utilize the food for their own things also. and they are going to pass on just a little bit of thing to the next organism which is there. You get it? So in this way, I am saying basically the productivity over here, this is known as primary productivity. This is known as primary productivity, which is basically given by the plants. Now the grasshopper or basically the ones that is on the second level, I will say this is secondary productivity that is they are going to show. Now if you go above, again it is going to keep on decreasing, my dear children. The rate of formation of biomass is going to decrease. Remember that. So productivity at the second trophic level is always greater than the productivity at the first trophic level, wrong. Less than the productivity at the first trophic level, right. Equal to the productivity, no, never. Extremely variable compared to the productivity at the first trophic level, no. I will say less than the productivity at the first trophic level, that's all. Because the plant is not going to, whatever energy it has fixed in itself, it is not going to pass the entire thing to the grasshopper. Something it will utilize for itself, and now some things when it is passing, some things might be lost, some energy might be lost in the form of heat and things like that. So basically it gets little amount of energy over here. It gets little amount of energy over here, and with this little amount of energy, what it is going to make? Very limited things. So you get it? So hence the rate of formation of biomass would be really less. Cool? Now next question. Okay, the answer to that, the rate of biomass production is called productivity. Productivity decreases as we move up the trophic levels in an ecosystem. This phenomenon is explained by the 10% law of energy transfer and the inefficiencies associated with energy flow through the trophic levels. The biomass at the higher trophic level is smaller because the energy available to support these levels is also lower. So as I said, there is a 10% law. I'll explain it here itself. According to 10% law, the plants is just going to give 10% of its energy to the next organism. This organism is going to give the 10% of what it received. Suppose the plant has 2000 kilojoules of energy. The plant is now going to give 10% of 2000, which becomes what? 200 kilojoules of energy to the grasshopper. Now this grasshopper is going to give 10% of this 200, that is 20 kilojoules to the next organism. So whenever you are giving less energy, obviously that organism would be having little amount of biomass as well. Cool? As in not little amount of biomass, it won't be able to form new things over there. Cool? Now herbivores belong to what? Which trophic level? So herbivores, so over here you see plants is there, grasshopper is there, frog is there. Now can I call grasshopper a herbivore because it is going to eat the plant? So always remember the first trophic level which is there. The first trophic level which is there, it is going to be always utilized by the producers. Okay, that means the plants. And now the second trophic level will be always utilized by the organisms that are going to feed on the producers. I'll call it primary consumer because this is the guy who primarily consumes the producers or basically plants. So over here if I have plants, the plants would be eaten by the goats. The plants would be eaten by the goats. So goats, since it is directly eating, I'll call it the primary consumer. Now if the next guy is there, for example a tiger. This wait. Okay, this is a secondary consumer, which is a tiger. Why is a secondary consumer? Because this guy is going to eat the primary consumer, which is why it becomes a secondary consumer. So this primary consumer level that you see over here, it is always occupied by a herbivore, because herbivore or basically omnivores are the ones that would be feeding on the producers. Herbivore or either an omnivore. Omnivore as in the one that eats both plants and animals. Mostly it is a herbivore that is being utilizing the second one. So first trophic level is not utilized by them. Third trophic level, no. It is the second trophic level that is being utilized by the herbivores. Good? Chalo. Next. Children, over here the picture is there. Producers, then herbivores, then omnivores, carnivores, anything can be there. Okay, so here also omnivore can be there. 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 But remember, from here, from this particular point, it is usually a carnivore. It is usually a carnivore. Cool? Chalo. In primary succession in water, the pioneers are. What do you mean by primary succession? As in the first guys who basically came in, okay, in water. The pioneers, the first ones are what? Are what? It is phytoplanktons, my dear children. They were phytoplanktons which were allowed to take in what? Basically sun's energy and prepare food and give this food to other organisms who were staying there. So this becomes phytoplanktons. This is not there in your NCERT, but just study it. Now, before I tell you the answer, you have to tell me the answer for this particular question. So if 10 joules of energy is available at the producer level, Okay, in the producer level, T1 level, I have how much? 10 joules of energy. The amount of energy present at the level of secondary consumer. So producer is being eaten up by the primary consumer is being eaten up by the secondary consumer, and they are asking you what is the energy there over here. If this is 10 joules, remember the 10% rule, okay, if you go according to 10% rule, 10% of 10 is going to be passed over here. 10% of whatever is in there will be passed over here. So 10% of your 10, what becomes? It becomes what, my dear children? It becomes 0.1. Okay, now this will be becoming 0.01. This will be becoming 0.01 joules. Okay, so over here, this becomes your answer. You have to again take 10% of it. Cool? Chalo. Now, given below is the table of factors affecting microbial decomposition. Plus means it is favoring, it is going to favor. Minus means it is going to inhibit or lower. That means if there is plus, that means high temperature. Plus means it is going, that means it is good for decomposition. Minus means it is not good for decomposition. That is what you are trying to say. So you have to tell which one is favoring and which one is not, which one is correct. Okay. So for decomposition, I told you what all we need high temperature. So for high temperature, there should be a plus. So this and this gives high temperature plus. So I'll cancel these two options. Okay. Now I told you there should be enough amount of oxygen, but over here there is lack of oxygen. Minus means it is what? Inhibiting. Minus means it is inhibiting. And this means what? It is favoring. So lack of oxygen, do you think it will promote? Lack of oxygen, do you think it will promote? No. Lack of oxygen will inhibit, my dear children. Lack of oxygen will be inhibiting. So this should be the one. This should be the one. Okay. High temperature is there, that means, and plus means favoring, so it is favoring anyways. Okay. Lack of oxygen is going to inhibit. There should be oxygen. So this is showing inhibiting effect. Now, moist environment which is there, again, it shows good. It shows good effect. It helps in decomposition. Lignin and chitin and the detritus. Lignin and chitin and the detritus. Basically, it is going to show not in the and the detritus, it is in the detritus. Anyways, lignin and chitin, if they are present, do you think it will be inhibiting or basically favoring? Again, it will be inhibiting. Lignin and chitin are very difficult to break down. So for decomposition, we need lighter substances, right? So it will be difficult. Lignin and chitin are there, which is there in the cell wall of the plants and organisms. So basically, if cell wall of the plants and the organisms like fungi and things like that. Anyways, listen to me very carefully. So basically, this is going to show an inhibiting effect. So over here, you saw this is the line which states all the correct points. So what all do you need, children? We need high temperature, but we do not need lack of oxygen. We need oxygen. We need moist environment, but we do not need lignin and chitin. Okay, we need lignin and chitin free things. Okay, that's when decomposition happens properly. So this question might be a little tricky to understand at first because of plus minus and things like that. But let me tell you, just if minus is there, that means it is showing inhibiting effect. Plus is there, that means it is positive effect. Lack of oxygen is going to show inhibiting effect. Okay, because we need oxygen. So think like that slowly, and you will be able to answer the question. Chalo, next question. What type of ecological pyramid would be obtained with the following data? Okay, what type of ecological pyramid is there where in the secondary consumer you have 120 grams of biomass probably, primary consumer is 60 and the primary producer is 10. So 120 means this is the largest. Okay, 60 means a bit less, and then primary producer means, so over here you see it is not a upright pyramid. Upright pyramid looks like this, where the lower T1 would be having the most amount, and it goes like this, the cake, it's ulta of that. So what do you call this? This is inverted. This is what? Inverted pyramid, my dear children. Now what is this pyramid for? Inverted pyramid of what? Energy, biomass or number? What do you think? Energy, biomass or number? Basically over here they have given options, inverted pyramid of biomass. Okay, is there any other inverted pyramid that is given? No. So this states the correct answer. So this is the inverted pyramid of biomass, my dear children, where they have mentioned the grams as well. 120 grams, 60 grams and 10 grams. Okay, so the biomass that this particular trophic level utilizes is 120 grams, this is this and this is this. Becomes what? Inverted pyramid of biomass. always remember, there cannot be a pyramid of energy which looks like this. Pyramid of energy will be always like this, where the trophic level 1 will be having the most amount of energy because it gets directly from the sun. Always, okay, it cannot be inverted. It is always upright. This is what you see as inverted, and this is possible in the case of numbers and sometimes biomass. So here biomass is given, so go for it. And also this is given, so that means it is biomass itself. Chalo. Assertion says both agriculture and aquaculture are man-maintained ecosystem. Both agriculture and aquaculture are man-maintained ecosystem. Yes, definitely. We are basically able to manage it. We have the lands, we plant the organisms over there, we give water, we are maintaining all the biotic and the abiotic components. Biotic components as in we are planting plants. So plant is a biotic component. We are giving water. Water is an abiotic thing. So we are doing everything. So both agriculture and aquaculture are man-maintained ecosystem. Agreed. Reason, all biotic and abiotic factors are managed by humans in these ecosystems. Yes, this particular reason is explaining this, which is why I'll say assertion and reason are both true, and the reason is the correct explanation of what, children? Assertion. Cool? Now next question. Most food chain and food webs have only about 4 to 5 trophic levels. So the food chain, the food web that you see, so you saw T1 is there, T2 is there, T3 is there, T4 is there. For example, I had in T1 grass. Then I have grasshopper. Okay, I have grasshopper. Then I have frog. Then I have snake. Then I have a hawk, a bird that will eat the snake also. But beyond it, you won't be seeing organisms. Why so? Why so? Basically, because I told you, the sun's light which is coming over here, it is going to reach the grass, that is the producers. I'll say 1% of the total sun's energy is going to come over here. 1% of the total sun's energy. So suppose sun's energy is basically how much? Suppose 20 lakhs. Suppose it is 20 lakhs. Now how much of our energy will be given to the grass, children? If I say 1% of it. So it will be what? 20,000 that this particular grass is going to receive. 20,000, okay, 20,000 kilojoules of energy. This is about the sun giving. But from here, from the trophic level 1, the things are going to change. It is just going to give 10% of things, and this 10% of this. You are talking about 1% of this big amount, but over here you are talking about 10% of this, which is very less. So 10% of 20,000 becomes what? 2,000. You give just 2,000 kilojoules to the next organism. From here, you're just going to give 200. From here, you're just going to give 20. From here, you're just going to give 2 kilojoules. Now, what energy is left to give to another organism? There is no energy left to give to other organism because we all are following what 10% rule, my dear children. So most food chain and food webs have only 4 to 5 trophic levels because of the same reasons. So trophic efficiency are generally only about 10% in different ecosystem, which is why the level of trophic levels is also being controlled. So this is the correct answer. If both assertion and reason are true, and the reason is the correct explanation of what, children? Assertion. So in your book, I'll tell you one more thing. In your book, it is given that the total sun's energy that is there. Okay, so sun has one type of radiation which occupies 50% of the total sun's radiation. So sun have lots and lots of different type of wavelengths and light and things being released, right? In that, only 50% of it is photosynthetically active radiation. Photosynthetically active radiation, as in this particular thing, only 50% of this particular thing basically can be utilized for the process of photosynthesis. But still, is the plant utilizing everything? No. Plant is just getting 2 to 10% of this particular photosynthetically active radiation as well. Only 2 to 10%. So the 1% I told, it is there in 10th class, but generally we say 1% only anyways. So the sun is there, the sun has different type of radiations and stuff like that. Among that, 50% of the whole sun's energy, okay, it is known as photosynthetically active radiation. Now in that 50%, don't think that everything is utilized by the plant. The plant is going to take just 2 to 10% of this photosynthetically active radiation for its own purpose. Okay, but we generally not say that. Let's drop it. Over here, they're asking about the different trophic levels. So from trophic level to trophic level, it is always 10%. It is fixed. That's why we have 10% law. Cool. So next question. So trophic level efficiencies are generally only about 10% in different ecosystems. This concept is known as 10% law of energy transfer, which says that only 10% of the energy at one trophic level is transferred to the next level. Cool. So next question. Assertion says, some aquatic ecosystems have inverted biomass pyramids. Some aquatic ecosystem has inverted biomass pyramids. Okay, is it true or false? I told you inverted biomass as in the other organisms which are at the higher trophic level, they are going to have more biomass. More biomass than the lower ones. Is it true? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible, my dear children. It is possible. Why I'll say so? Okay, so in general case, in the case of terrestrial ecosystem, you have plants, and you know plants, basically trees, occupy lots and lots of biomass. Okay, occupy lots and lots of what? Biomass, my dear children, which is why there is no one to compete it. Okay, so always in the case of terrestrial ecosystem, you would be having an upright pyramid. Okay, which will look like this, because the biomass of the plants would be obviously very much. There will be no one to compete this. But in the case of aquatic organisms, what happens? I told you, you have phytoplanktons, which are small organisms, my dear children, which are small things. Phytoplanktons are small things which basically take in the sun's energy and basically prepare their own food. Now over here the thing is, first thing, they are very small, obviously, so the biomass is very less. Now the second thing is that basically this is being eaten by the zooplanktons really fast. These small things are being eaten by the next guy, that is zooplanktons, really fast. So their turnover rate, now they are going to be made again they are going to be eaten up. So if you see the biomass constantly, it stays lesser than the zooplanktons, that is the secondary, basically the primary consumers which are there, which is why always remember the aquatic ecosystem, most of them, they have an inverted biomass pyramid. This is an exclusive thing, always remember it, okay? And the reason is that because this phytoplankton is there, the phytoplankton is being eaten up, it is being replenished again, but then it is being eaten up, and they are very small things. So obviously they would be having less amount of biomass comparatively. So the pyramid of energy is also inverted in such cases. Do you think the pyramid of energy can be inverted? Never. The pyramid of energy would never be inverted. Here also, in this case also, the pyramid of energy is going to look like this. Phytoplanktons is going to have the most amount of energy because they are going to get it from the sun. From here to here 10%, again here to here 10%. So pyramid of energy is going to be upright. It cannot be inverted. So this is wrong. I'll say reason is wrong, assertion is true. So assertion is true and the reason is wrong. Cool? Chalo. Next question. The natural interconnection of food chains making it a dash. So natural connection of food chains. So do you think that basically the grasshopper is there? Okay, and the grass is there, and the grasshopper is eaten by a frog. Is it only eaten by a frog? Can't a lizard come and eat the grasshopper? It can. So any other organisms can also eat it. So basically there is no single food chain that exists in the nature. There are food webs that are there. Okay, there are food webs. So the natural interconnection of food chains make it a what? Food web, my little champions. Okay. Next thing. So this is what I was saying. So this particular little cutie is being eaten up by this bird and also this lizard. So this is existence, coexistence, and this happens in nature. It cannot say that a lizard will say that I will be only the person who will be eating it. No one else can. So that is not possible in nature. Understand that. Now the next question says the amount of nutrients such as carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus and calcium are present in the soil at any given time is referred to. So the amount of nutrients such as what? Carbon, the amount of carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus and everything that is present in a soil at a given time is referred to as what? What do you call this particular thing? There is a term for it. You call this as standing crop. So it's not like the crop is standing, it's just the amount of nutrients which are there in a soil at a given point of time. Okay, what do you call this as? Standing crop. So each trophic level has a certain mass of living material at a particular time called a standing crop. The standing crop is measured as the mass of living organisms or number in a unit area. Cool? Works? Chalo. So that's all. Now we are getting into the 3 marker question category. Chalo. 6 questions are there. We are going to complete all the 6 questions. Represent diagrammatically the pyramid of number in terrestrial ecosystem. Pyramid of number in terrestrial ecosystem, it is mostly upright, my dear children. Okay. Okay. So over here, first level will be taken up by the producers. Second level is being taken up by the primary consumers. Third level is being taken up by the secondary consumers. Fourth level is being taken up by the tertiary consumers. Over here you want, suppose, plants, grasshopper, frog and snake. Okay, now you can give whatever number you want, but make sure it has been increasing. So in your NCERT this example is given, 58,42,000 is given for the plants, and then you have 7,800,000 for this particular primary consumer, and for this is 3 lakh. So it is basically decreasing as you see over here. If you see the top consumers, children, it will be really less. You do not see so much amount of tigers, you do not see too much amount of lions. Why so? Because basically the amount of energy which is getting passed through, is it enough to sustain? There are so many organisms which is going to feed on them. Do you think it will be okay? That there is no chance that you will be getting so many amount of lions and tigers over here, because the energy which is passed is really less to sustain them. It is really less to sustain them. There will be too much amount of competition. They will die. Okay, they will only die by itself even if they are there. So basically, with the amount of energy and everything which is passed on, we say the number of organisms which is there is also being very controlled. It is very less. So you have to give the numbers. You can give numbers like that also. You can give numbers like 50,000 is there. Sorry, 50 lakh is there. Then what? 7 lakh is there. Then what? Okay, 7 lakh is there. Then what? 3 lakh is there. Then what? Snake cannot be 3 number. Okay, snake cannot be 3 number. So basically you can make it less. Okay, now you have 10,000 over here. Now suppose the snake is eaten by a tiger. Okay, so here, or basically a hawk, here it can be 4 or basically 5. So this is what you basically are trying to say. The number is going to decrease when you go above the trophic level. So this is a pyramid of biomass, sorry, pyramid of number in a terrestrial ecosystem. Better you draw this and be safe. Okay. So here I have given the name of the organisms. If you are going without names, you can put it directly as less amount. Now, so structure the pyramid. So along with it, you can give little amount of statement also if you want. You can say producers are the ones that such as grass, trees and shrubs. These are the most abundant organisms forming the foundation of the ecosystem. Plants and vegetation are the primary source of energy, and hence which is why they are occupying the first level. Primary consumers, herbivores like insects, rabbits or deer, they are the ones. Secondary consumers, carnivores like frogs, snakes or birds. Tertiary consumers, basically the apex predators like hawks, lions or foxes. Okay, so these are there. If you want, you can just give a one-liner example for each and say that the number is going to decrease. Why? Because the amount of energy which is there to sustain them is obviously less. Cool? Chalo. An example for grazing food chain is given below, that is grass, grasshopper, birds and man. That is grass is eaten by grasshopper and grasshopper eaten by birds and birds are eaten by man. Okay, not entirely true, but okay. Now graphically represent this food chain through pyramid of energy and write different trophic levels with their energy content. So again you have to make a pyramid of energy. So you have to use it. Can it be upright? Can it be inverted? It can never be inverted. Please remember, energy pyramid never inverted. So how do you make it? This is grass. Okay, and then we have, or basically apart from writing it inside, what you can do is write it outside. It becomes all the more easy. Grass, it is producers and they occupy T1, trophic level 1. Then primary consumers, trophic level 2. What is the organism, children? Grasshopper. And then what do we have? The secondary consumer, which is going to occupy T3. What is it, children? It is birds. Okay, now consumer, it will be what? Man. This is what? T4. The amount of energy, again you have to go make it less. So suppose you cannot put random numbers over here now. You cannot put random numbers over here. Suppose it is 20,000 kilojoules of energy. 10% of it should be here. So 2000 kilojoules. Here it should be 200 kilojoules. Here it should be 20 kilojoules. Why? Because only 10% of it is being passed. So you can make like this and say 10%, 10% or 10%. Okay, you have to write the trophic levels and everything properly. Okay, this is just a rough thing I have mentioned, but you have to make it properly. Works? Chalo, next question. So, pyramid of energy is always upright, can never be inverted. Reasons, give reasons why. Why do you think that the pyramid of energy is always upright, my dear children? Why do you think it goes up? Because the most amount of energy is stored in the sun, and that is received by the plants. That is received by the plants, or basically the producers. Now, the producers, obviously if someone gets the energy, they are going to utilize it for themselves. Okay, they are going to utilize it for themselves because they have certain metabolic activities to make sure is done in their body. So, there will be some amount of energy that is used for the metabolic activity. Now, from the producers to the next level, that is primary consumers, when things is being passed down, don't you think some amount of energy while this transfer is taking place will be lost in the form of heat as well? It will be lost in the form of heat, which is why only 10% of energy is being transferred. Which is why 10% of energy is being transferred. Obviously, if producers have some amount and 10% of it is going to the next organism, that means it is going to get lesser if you go up. It is going to be lesser if you go up. Okay, how do you frame this answer? Energy decreases at higher trophic levels. Energy is transferred from producers to consumers, with each step resulting in energy loss due to metabolism, making higher trophic levels less energy rich. First thing, inefficient energy transfer. The second law of thermodynamics states that only about 10% of energy is passed to the next level, while the rest is lost as what? Heat. I told you that. Now, next thing, decreasing biomass and organisms. So, at higher trophic levels, there are fewer organisms. Okay. This also reflects the decrease in energy, as fewer organisms cannot be supported with the available energy at higher levels. So, you see fewer organisms are there. The reasons why it is upright is that only fewer organisms are there in the upper level. That means what? They didn't have enough energy to get sustained, which is why they are few in number. If they had enough energy, they would have been more in number. You get it? Now, this is not exactly a reason, but okay. Now, ecosystem stability, this becomes a reason. An upright pyramid supports ecological balance. An inverted pyramid would destabilize the system by providing more energy to higher levels than lower ones, leading to collapse. There will be collapse. If someone at the top level has more energy, obviously the organism at the lower level will not be there. Okay, and this whole system will be collapsing later on. Why to feed an organism if you have already energy? Why to feed on the lower organisms? You get it? So, obviously for stability also we need an upright pyramid of energy. So, you can skip this point, right? Both three of these points, 1, 2 and 3. Now, mention the functional components of ecosystem. What are the functional components of ecosystem, my dear children? When you say talk about ecosystem, what is ecosystem? Ecosystem is a group of biotic and abiotic components and all the little amount of interactions which is happening in between them. So, there are few functional components such as productivity, okay, such as decomposition. Okay, so all these things have to be mentioned, but before going ahead with that, I have to just give a small answer. What is trophic level? This becomes easy, no? So, trophic level is what? A level or basically a stage in the food chain. It is a stage or level in a food chain through which an organism acquires, and through these organisms the energy or basically the food is going to get transferred. Okay, so trophic level is a level which an organism acquires in a food chain, through which basically the food and the energy is being transferred from one organism to the other. Now, what are the functional components of ecosystem? Let's see that. First is productivity. What do you mean by productivity? Rate of formation of what, children? Biomass. Rate of formation of biomass. I told you there is primary productivity. That means rate of formation of biomass by the producers. That is known as primary productivity. Okay, so they have produced this much amount of thing. Now, listen to me carefully. This whole thing cannot be utilized in the next level. Some of this is the plant itself is utilizing it. Okay, some of it will be lost. So, basically the next trophic level will not be producing enough amount of biomass. So, that is known as secondary productivity. So, productivity is basically what? Where is it? Rate of formation of basically biomass is known as productivity. Primary production is defined as the amount of biomass or organic matter produced per unit area over a time period by plants during photosynthesis. Whatever thing is being made by the plants during photosynthesis. Secondary productivity is defined as a rate of formation of the new organic matter by what, children? Consumers. Now the plants are being eaten by the consumers, and now whatever they are going to produce for the next level is known as the secondary productivity, the rate of formation of that in a particular area at a particular time. Now decomposition means what? The process by which decomposers basically are going to break down the dead organic matter. And what is the use of this thing? Whenever they are breaking dead organic matter, they are going to return back inorganic stuffs. So organic matter is something that makes us. Okay, complex things. Now these complex things have to be broken down into simpler things that are known as inorganic things. Now these inorganic things are put back to nature. What does the nature do? The plants will take this inorganic things, again make it organic, other organism eats it, we all are becoming organic, and then basically again we are dead, and the same thing keeps on repeating again and again. So this is a major component of what? Ecosystem, that is decomposition. Next, energy flow. Don't you think if energy flow is not there, you cannot maintain ecosystem? Yes. So the movement of energy through the trophic level in an ecosystem from the producers to consumers and then to decomposers, this energy decreases at each level due to inefficiency in transfer as described by the 10% law. Now apart from that, apart from production, so you made the food, that is productivity, okay, and then basically you have to give back the food also, that is decomposition, and you have to transfer energy. You took food, obviously you have some energy, now you have to transfer this energy. Now there is, apart from energy, there is something else, that is what? Nutrient cycling. So basically this recycling of the essential nutrients through anabiotic components of ecosystem, this process ensures what? The sustainability in an ecosystem. So these are the 4 functional components of ecosystem. If this is not there, one of them collapses. None of this basically could be in a stable form. Ecosystem would not be in a stable form. Suppose decomposers stop decomposing, it will be a problem. Okay, there won't be nutrient cycling happening. If the organisms stop eating other organisms, there won't be energy flow. Do you think other organisms can sustain who are depending on them? No. If the plant decide I am not going to make food today, do you think we will be able to sustain? No. So these are the 4 functional components of what? Ecosystem: productivity, decomposition, energy flow, and nutrient cycling. Remember like that, don't mug it up. Trophic level, I told you. Trophic level refers to the position an organism occupies in a food chain or a food web based on its feeding relationship. Each level represents a step in the flow of energy through the ecosystem. Now, ecological pyramids have limitations. Justify the statement with 3 reasons. So pyramid that I showed you, remember the pyramids of upright and inverted thing, I say they have limitations. Why do you think so? So according to the pyramids, it's like, okay, there is plants is eaten up by grasshoppers is eaten up by another organism, but does it actually work like that? Do you think in one particular trophic level you just have one organism? No, children. You would be having multiple organisms in one particular trophic level. There will be food web as well. There is something that is known as food web, and over here in ecological pyramids people are just concentrating on food chain. There is only one set of organisms according to them. So that is not always true. So that is why I say it has a limitation. Second thing, okay, an organism can acquire multiple trophic level. For example, sometimes an organism which is an omnivore might eat a plant. So it will be, if it is eating a plant, it is basically going to acquire what? Trophic level 2, where it is going to eat the plant which occupies trophic level 1. Suppose the same organism is not in a mood to eat plant. It is in T3 level. What happens then? So can you change it? But the organism is there, according to its mood it is going to eat lot of things, whatever is there. So basically you cannot frame that also, that is also a limitation. A particular organism can basically acquire different trophic levels. So there are 2 things. Can you give me one reason from your end? Can you try to give me one reason from your end, my little cuties? I'll say. So, where is it? Ding, 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 ding. Decomposers. The role of decomposers which is there, it is not being mentioned. Where did you make the decomposers? Don't you think decomposers are needed? That is also not being mentioned. If decomposers are not there, they are not going to recycle things. If they are not going to recycle things, you are not going to get food also. So that is one very important thing. So how do you write the answer? The trophic level represents a functional level, not a species as such. A given species may occupy more than one trophic level in the same ecosystem at the same time. That's what I told you. Ecological pyramid focus on the producers and the consumers, but often forget what? The poor little decomposers. Decomposers plays a crucial role in breaking down the dead matter and recycling the nutrients, but they are not represented in the ecological pyramid. Now, ecological pyramids often represent a simplified linear food chain which does not exist in nature. In reality, we have a complex food web. Now, this complexity is not captured by the simple pyramid. So, what do you write? Basically, species may occupy more than one trophic level. Next thing that you underline is what? Basically, often ignore decomposes. Ecological pyramid often ignore decomposes. Next thing that you underline, basically we have ecosystem has complex interconnected food webs, and basically what is being shown up? It is shown up by simplified linear food chain. So you have to underline the important terms and show off your answer. That's how you are going to basically score marks, my dear little children. Okay, so these are the three very important limitation. Now, okay, I'll tell you one more thing, because I think I should be saying that, and that is about productivity. So when we spoke about productivity, just all of a sudden thought now, okay, when we spoke about productivity, I told you that basically the first thing, there are plants which are going to produce their biomass. You call it what, children? Primary productivity. You call this as primary productivity. So basically over here there is gross primary productivity. Okay, this is gross primary productivity, which is totally there, minus respiratory losses. Minus respiratory losses, as in the utilization of energy by the plants for its own sake. Okay, this is the gross primary productivity minus whatever utilization it has to do it for itself. After that, whatever you get is known as net primary productivity. After that, after doing that, whatever amount of biomass you get is known as, basically rate of formation of biomass is known as net primary productivity. Always remember that. So gross primary productivity, that is there in the plant. Okay, the total amount of productivity is there. Okay, it is known as gross primary productivity. And apart from that, if you minus their own needs from it, that is respiratory losses, you get net primary productivity. Always remember that. And this is net primary productivity is the productivity that is available for the next trophic level, that is the primary consumers. This is the thing that is available for the primary consumers. Okay. Chalo. Ab, there is a next question. That's the last question for the day. Explain steps involved in the process of decomposition. So what do you mean by decomposition? I told you, okay, there are organic things in our nature. These organic stuff which is there has to be broken down to inorganic things. Has to be broken down into inorganic things, such as what? What do you mean by organic? Organic is something that has the CC bond, CH bond, that is carbon-carbon bond, carbon-hydrogen bonds. Inorganic things are things that does not have CC or CH bond. For example, ammonia, okay, carbon dioxide. Okay, carbon dioxide, if you see, carbon dioxide, it has 2O, okay. Over here it has H2O. H2O means it looks like this. Again, there is nothing. There is no CC bond. There is no anything. Now listen to me carefully. So who does this? This is done with the help of decomposers. They are going to basically feed on dead and decaying matter, okay, which are organic. The dead and the decaying matter, which are basically organic substances. So we have a special name for it. You call these substances as detritus. What do you call this as? Detritus. So basically, the decomposers are going to break down the detritus into inorganic things. Now, there are certain processes that is there. So while they try to break down things, what happens? There is one process. This process of breaking down is known as catabolism. This process of breaking down is known as catabolism. Okay, so decomposition has different stages or different steps. Catabolism is basically breakdown of these things. Now, while they do this, there could be leaching happening. What do you mean by leaching? So, while they are breaking, there might be some water-soluble nutrients. There might be some water-soluble nutrients, my dear children, which would be seeping into the soil, and they would just stay there as unavailable salts. Unavailable salts, as in this thing cannot be utilized by the plants. These things cannot be utilized by the plants. It's just there in the form of salt. They might be a rock or things like that. This is known as leaching. So this also happens in decomposition. So while things are getting broken down, things might be undergoing leaching as well. Now while things are getting broken down, it's a partial process. It's not a one-step process. So there is something being formed in the middle which is known as humus. Okay. it has all the important thing. It's like halfway, midway of decomposition. Some things are broken, some things are not, still it's there. So it is highly nutritious, my dear children. It not nutritious, I'll say, it has high amount of nutrients in them. It has what, children? High amount of nutrients in them. And what do you call this process of basically forming the humus? You call this process as humification. You call this process as humification. Just a second, a friend of mine has come. Okay, can you pause it?
No.
Okay, I'll explain then.
Where is the wine drawer?
It won't be done.
So yes, so this process is known as humification, my dear children. Okay, so this guy has a lot of content stored in it, but from here to here, when the total breakdown has to take place, it's a very slow process, my dear children. This is going to be a really slow process, and this is known as mineralization. What is it? Mineralization, this step of breaking down this thing. Listen to me very carefully. Okay, first thing, we were trying to break it out, that is known as catabolism. Now, during catabolism, some amount of water soluble nutrients would be seeping into the soil and get reserved as unavailable salts. It won't be utilized for the plants, it won't be useful for the plants. Now, while this process have been taking place, you reach a middle position, okay, where there is a content, a dark amorphous content being formed, which is highly nutritional, and this is known as humus. Okay, this is known as humus, which if we say that if the soil is rich in humus, it has high amount of nutrients, because obviously these are storehouse of nutrients. This process is known as humification, where the humus is being formed. Now the humus will take lots and lots of time, probably years, to break down completely into what? The inorganic things. Okay, so in between it is getting broken down, and that's how it is providing nutrients in a controlled way. It is providing nutrients in a controlled way. It is not totally getting broken down. Okay, it is not like it is totally getting broken down into inorganic things. That's how you get inorganic things. No, the breakdown is happening, and it's a very slow process. Little amount of inorganic things are being released each and every time, and this is known as mineralization. And this is what you mean by the whole process. And at the end, what do you call? Inorganic content is being formed, and this is known as decomposition. Now, decomposition, I told you there are factors: moist environment, high temperature, and enough amount of oxygen is required. No, let's read it. So over here, decomposers break down complex organic matter into inorganic substances like carbon dioxide, water and nutrients, and the process is known as decomposition. Dead plant remains such as leaves, bark, flowers and dead remains of animals, including the fecal matter, is known as detritus. Detritus is a raw material for decomposition. Detritivores are organisms that break down detritus into smaller particles. Example, earthworm. So detritus is being broken by detritivores as well. So decomposers, as in you're talking about fungi and bacteria, those are known as decomposers. Detritivores, that means organisms which are going to intake the food and going to poop it out. When they're pooping it out, basically they're breaking down into smaller components. That is the difference between decomposers and detritivores. I'll tell you, decomposers of fungi and things like that. For example, I am a decomposer, I am a fungi, and there's a dead organism. Okay, I'm not going to eat the dead organism. Instead, I'm going to release certain enzymes, break the thing down outside itself, and take in important nutrients. Take in back what? Important nutrients. So basically, the process of digestion is happening outside. It is happening outside, my dear children. Okay, now when you talk about detritivores, what are they going to do? They're going to take in the food, they're going to break it inside their body, and they're going to poop it out. That is the difference between decomposer and detritivores. Anyways, both of them are going to help in the process of decomposition. Over here, the important steps in the process of decomposition are fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, humification and mineralization. And why, Jasmine? Okay, mineralization. Now, fragmentation is the breaking down of detritus into small particles. The process by which water-soluble inorganic nutrients go down into the soil horizon and gets precipitated as unavailable salt is known as leaching. The process by which bacterial and fungal enzymes degrade detritus into simple inorganic substances are known as catabolism. Okay. Now, humification is what? Accumulation of dark-colored amorphous substance, which is known as humus. The humus is further degraded by microbes, and release of inorganic nutrients occur by the process that is known as mineralization. Okay. Now, factors affecting: large amount of oxygen is needed, high temperature and moist environment is needed for decomposition, and with that we have completed ecosystem. So I think I am more happier than you guys because finally we are providing you content which you might need for study. So that is the sole purpose, and I was successful in doing that. I believe so, and you were successful in being really good kids. Okay, so that's about ecosystem. I want you to read the NCERT. It's a very small chapter. Do not go without reading the NCERT once more. So when you read the NCERT, everything is going to get cemented and very, very well. So children, if you think that this particular video was useful, do not forget to show us your love by commenting down. And if you have any feedback, please give that as well. And if you want to get enrolled into the paid course, okay, use my coupon code, that is JAS100. And I wish you all the best. And what? Giving a task to you. Say thank you to your parents today and make the day extra special. So that's all, my dear children, and do not forget to subscribe to our little channel. Bye bye. Take care.